Everyone, it's Rob Ryder again. It's still March 2nd, 2013, the week that was, and what is coming. So, this is like part two to the one that was just before this, and really to understand what I'll be talking about now, you should listen to this March 1st call on TalkShoe. Call ID 122402 or Taking Clues from Ancient Books. You'll find it. It was a discussion that Roe had with the county clerk, and over a couple of day periods, she actually sat with the county clerk for some time. Was given a book by the county clerk, talked about the book, picked a few things out, went back the next day, asked about them, and was told, well, you're going to have to file a FOIA for that. And Rose said, well, that's not going to be good enough, right? This is all public record, and it should be treated as a library, because a library is a repository of public records. Next thing you know, she's in the back getting to go through things that normally they would keep you from seeing. So that's what this is about, and what was in there, and what we're going to try doing with it. But a few other things first. Subpoena form. I mentioned in the last call that about John and Elaine, and we had on their petition subpoenaed to have certain records given to us. And John had brought this up in court yesterday. We had subpoenaed the court, or petitioned the court to subpoena for the records. And the judge says, the court doesn't subpoena the records, you do. Okay, this is a subpoena form from Michigan. I'll go with it. You fill this thing out. And it's under the seal of the Supreme Court. And apparently, you can fill this out. And then maybe you take it to the court and file a notice that you've sent a subpoena. So I got to look closer how you do a subpoena. But the judge said the court doesn't subpoena, you do. Well, here's a form that's been made to be filled out by you, me, whoever. And it's a subpoena, and you are ordered. Now here's the great thing. It's in the name of the people of the state of Michigan. And then you can put your name here. I'd put my full real name, Rytlewski, comma, space, Robert Allen, who the defendant is, the name of the people of the state of Michigan to do whatever, right? So there's some instructions for this someplace. We're supposed to fill this out. Fine. I don't care. That's what I'll do. Proof of service. Excellent. So I forgot to mention that. Very, very important. The court doesn't subpoena. You do. We're going to figure out what that means. How to do that. Okay. Now, what did we find out yesterday that was so interesting? When Roe spent her time behind the counter at the county clerk's office. Now, mind you, it was getting late in the day because she had taken some of the normal, directions that they give you, which lead you on kind of a wild goose chase. But when she came back, said she wanted to see some certain records. And they said she was going to have to put them on a FOIA. And she said, no, that's not good enough. I need to see them now. And what we really wanted to see was the index, right? Because this is the index that she wrote down that she saw when she got access to a computer behind the counter in the county clerk's office. And you can see these are all tabs that you could click on and would take you into whatever it was. Now, again, she had to handwrite these down because they didn't have it so you could print out. Not sure if we missed one or not, or if they're exactly correct, but you get an idea, right? If you were to click on contracts, agreements, and leases, what's ever in there would show up. The county clerk's records, she has animal control, bankruptcy, board review, board of trustees. Those are going to be some very, very interesting tabs to get into. And then Estray. which is a stray animal. Go figure. We'll see how they've used that against us. But it has lawsuits, liens, oaths and bonds, subpoenas. So we're going to figure out how to do a subpoena by going and clicking on this button here and see how somebody else did a subpoena. Summonses, not villages and townships. And this goes back to this summer. We're reading about how the townships were established and how really these municipalities, townships, cities, villages, is where we want to be a resident of. That's what we want to have as our domicile. Right now we're residents of the state of, and you're going to see how that affects you in taxes here shortly. But because now I live in a township, and there's a township hall half a mile down the road, drive by it all the time. Township hall. However, none of the people in there have taken the oath prescribed in the Constitution. So in the de jure township, there is no officers. And it said in the rules about townships and stuff that since the books always had to be available for public inspection, that if the local township didn't have a functioning government that was open daily, that the books would be kept with the county. And here they are, villages and townships. So the county clerk and the county act as trustees for all the other taxing districts, and also the keeper of the records. If by law the things that need to be done aren't done, they're going to keep the records there. But these are with the county clerk. Now at the county clerk's office, they have the elections. It's where you get birth certificates, death certificates. That's what they tell you they have. Well, they also have all this other stuff here. Bonds again, right? This could be your bonds, the bonds against you. Actually, your property, because it has your name on it, your bonds. Financial reports, levies. This levy is going to become very big, because levies are how taxes are determined. The permanent taxing district files. We're going to want to know that because we're going to pick the taxing district we want to be in instead of the one that we're in by claiming our domicile. Tax code changes, tax yearbook, that'd be the doomsday book, the treasurer's reports, redemptions, all these things that you don't find online. You can't find this online. Here's the liens. Right? If somebody put a lis pendens in, or a lawsuit, a suit pending against you into the county clerk's office, and there's a reason they may do that, because the county clerk is also the clerk of the commissioner's court, which still exists, is still here. There's a commissioner's court, and they're the clerk. And the commissioners run the county. They're the ones who make all the decisions. So I think that in these foreclosures and things, because that's the jurisdiction that the land lies, they take their case there. And they're using fictitious addresses that we don't get notices if they've been sent out correctly to start with. It's going to a post office address, not your address. There's an address problem. But we got estrays down here, which are stray animals, and the county clerk has jurisdiction over animal control and also bankruptcy. Interesting. These are going to be some great tabs to get into. So this is what the index was. So here's the thought, right? If you didn't go in and ask for the estray, just something in the estray, and you said you wanted miscellaneous, they wouldn't have it. But Rose said when she looked in estray, it was mainly miscellaneous items that are in there. Foreclosures, right? Who's who in the zoo and the foreclosures. So if you're not asking by these indexes, they can say, well, we don't have that. So what we want to know is, well, what is your index? Right? No matter what office it is, if they're a clerk for a court, and they're the court clerk, and they have an index of all the different kinds of records they have. They're all public records, and all public records are always available for the public to inspect. And we should be treating these offices just like the library. Right? I don't go to the librarian to ask her for books. I go look at the books, decide what I want. Right? I don't want to have to put in information to look into these. I want it to be like a book where I can thumb through the book. And that's the kind of access we're going to make them give us. right? If you someone Roe clicked on a few of these, right, was looking for you to put in information maybe to do the sort. Yeah, but what if you don't have the information? You just want to see what kind of information the book has so you can determine if it's of value to you. We want to see these indexes. We want free access to the frickin' records because it's public record. So this is everything that would happen in the jurisdiction that's under the county clerk, which is, one of the few de jure offices being filled, in my opinion, in the county. That and the county board, they're going to be freeholders, as you're going to see. We got this thing with freeholders. In fact, let's go to that now. This is Michigan, right? Freeholder. What's a freeholder? Because they use the term here. May refer to one who is in freehold, who holds title to real property in fee simple. So he holds title, right? He possesses the title to real property. It's also an official of the county government in the United States, state of New Jersey. An estate held in fee or for life. The tenure by which such an estate is held. The tenure of an officer or a dignity for life. So we look here, an official of the county government in the United States, state of New Jersey, right? They call them freeholders there. Guess what? I bet you all the commissioners in all the states are freeholders. Property law, a person in possession of a freehold building or estate in land. Somebody is in possession of your legal title, your abstract of title, or your owner certificate of title in the land. That's your estate in the land, and they're the freeholder because they have it in their possession. That wasn't that interesting. But anyway, so I wondered if in Michigan there were some, and so I just Googled Michigan freeholders, and I found that I grabbed the wrong one. Here we go. A petition for cleaning out, relocating, widening, deepening, straightening, tiling, extension, or relocation along highway for the county drain. This goes to the county drain commissioner. Now, the county drain commissioner is the same as in Koch's time. Lord Koch, as far as I'm concerned, he was called the Court of the Pipe, Pipe. And its idea of the Court of the Pipe was to make sure that all the king's income from wherever it was in the kingdom flowed to the king. The drain. Petitioner hereby, so these were petitioners who asked to have this done, right? And here's the thing. You had to be a freeholder of the township to sign up. And so, looks like all these, like these two people are from this township, from Salem Township, are both related to each other. I can't tell if those are the same names or not. Maybe not. Salem, Door, and then it was signed off and so forth. Anyways, so there are people that are called freeholders, right? You want to know who the freeholders are in your township? Roger Simmons in Salem Township in, I think this is Allegan County. Where did it say what county it is? Allegan County, Michigan. Go look at his property file, see how he's done his stuff, and you'll have the same status as him. He just has a different status than you. He's a freeholder of the township. That's where his residence is. Look at, he's only paying township tax. He doesn't pay any other tax because his residence is the township. Your residence and mine is the state. We're under all the taxing districts. He's only under one. Okay. Where are we headed to next? Oh, shit. Hang on a second. Okay, so we had that. Now, let's real quick look at this. So this is the Illinois compiled statutes under recorder, where it says the county clerk as recorder. The county clerk as recorder, right? The county clerk's a recorder. Don't argue with it. They also have a county recorder office where the deeds are, but the county clerk as a recorder. And so in their office, here were some of the things as the recorder they were supposed to have. An entry book where everything goes into, a grantor's index, a grantee's index, an index of each book of record, right? So that's what we want to see, the index to each book of record. Actually, we want to see everything. When required, an abstract book. And I think this is what Roe was looking for. She said 5 or 6. Or was it 7? Okay, 7. An index showing in alphabetical order the names of parties against whom judgments have been rendered or who may or made, and the transcripts or memorandum of such judgments have been recorded. These are judicial records kept in the recorder's office, the county clerk. Well, what court is he, the clerk of? Well, let's see what it said here. Where are you? Darn it. No, tell me I didn't pull it over. Nope. Didn't. Oh, here it is. So this is Coles County, Illinois. The county clerk as recorder, as we've already seen. A little bit of history on him. So the office of county clerk dates back to 1818 when Illinois became a territory, when it was titled clerk of the county commissioner's court. The commissioner's courts, okay? That's who the county clerk is, the clerk of the court of the commissioner's court. And you still have a commission. And Bob in Arizona was looking, and they have a commission, and so he was looking at the, I think it was the compiled laws for the territory of Arizona, which is actually correct because we're at territorial level here in these courts. In the territory, there are only counties and townships. In the state, there's states, counties, and townships. But in the territory, there's only counties and townships. And this was established during territorial days when they were the county commissioner over a territorial county. And they had a commissioner's court. And Bob said that in the statutes, it said that the probate judge would sit on this commissioner's court. And he probably still does, right? The chief judge of probate in Arizona probably sits on the county commissioner's court and has been a chief judge of probate that has told a gal, sorry sister, I don't remember your name, in Arizona, in a letter when she said she wanted to claim her birthright, basically, and by the way, you can in Arizona, but we didn't use those words at that time, that she needed to open a case. And we didn't know what that meant or where to go. And since he's in charge of the county commissioner's court, I'm going to say it goes into that court. Because we're going to find some crazy things happen in the county at that level. So, crazy stuff, man. We're going to find we're going to get all this stuff figured out. I just made them ex officio recorders. Okay, it goes on and on. They're going to keep keeping court dockets, so forth and so on. So, back to our list real quick. Where is our list? So there was this thing on estray, and we looked up, I looked up the rules for estrays. This act may be cited as the Estrays and Lost Property Act. Any horse, mule, ass, cattle, swine, sheep, goats found straying and the owner thereof being unknown may be taken up as estrays in the same manner provided for lost goods. This has to do with lost property, right? If you don't know who the owner is, you can pick up the goods. No person who is not a householder, which is probably the same as a freeholder, I didn't go look, but I'm sure it is, should be taken up. No person shall be allowed to take up an estray except upon or about his farm or place of residence. All right, so you want your place of residence. But animals giving milk, maybe milk for their benefit. Jeepers, I wonder if they're milking us. Raft and timbers. So if any person or persons finds any lost goods, money, banknotes, or other choses in action, which are cases in court, of any description whatever, such person or persons shall inform the owner thereof, if known, and shall make restitution of the same without any compensation whatever, except such compensation as shall be voluntarily given on the part of the owner. If the owner is unknown owners, and what Rose said is in this estray thing, when you get in there, it talks about unknown owners and unknown others. And on a document she saw, it said that the county clerk is the trustee of the unknown owners and unknown others. Right? It didn't say unknown executors. It said unknown owners, and they're talking about you. Just like the judge said in Bob's case. He's got jurisdiction over the res, but we don't know who the owner is yet. If the owner is unknown and such property is found, the value of $100 upwards after 5 days, files the circuit court an affidavit of the description thereof. That the owner therefore is known to the affiant, and that the affiant, okay, so basically they're going to go, say, hey, we found this, don't know who the owner is. The owner shall enter an order stating the value of the property, certified copy of such order and affidavit of the finder for their finder's fee, to be transmitted to the county clerk to be recorded in his estray book. So in the book of estray is all the unclaimed property, your unclaimed property. I think you're going to want to get behind the counter of the county clerk's office and just tell them, this is a library of public records and I want to look at the index. Then I'll tell you what else I want to look at. Where are the books? We cannot let them stop us at the counter. They won't. They let Roe in. Listen to the call on March 1st. It's quite amazing what happened. The finder shall hold such proceeds in lieu of the goods for the owner. Now they're going to hold the proceeds. All right, so you can read this whole thing yourself, right? This is the whatever act this is. Estrays and Lost Property Act in Illinois. Just real quick, one last thing maybe. Oh, that's really it. Oh, how does the owner get it? Let's find that. State and value of the owner. In all cases where such lost goods, money, chose in action shall not exceed $100. Going to advertise at the courthouse someplace. And these choses in action, these are court proceedings, right? They're talking about some prior foreclosure, bankruptcy, whatever. It's a court case that hasn't, the owner, the value of it hasn't been claimed by the owner yet. All right, and then I have to put a newspaper if it's over a certain amount. Finder's fees, charges. Any vessel, right, can be taken up. Taking up means to claim or accept. Acceptance of something, especially a state benefit that is due or available. So this talks about how they take it from you. In court cases where the court is required to certify the estray or other property taken up or to the property found to the county clerk, the taker up or finder shall deposit in the clerk the amount of the county clerk's fees, including the cost of advertising, and the clerk of the court shall transmit such amount. Yada, yada, yada. Whenever the owner or the taker-upper do not agree upon the amount of the compensation to be paid by the taker-upper, either party may appeal to the court. What court? Commissioner's Court. Or when we look at these, we'll see what court it was held in. If any person taking up fails to comply with this act, right, they got a problem. And so we're going to find that they haven't done some kind of notice right or whatever, but shall pay double the value of the property to be recovered in circuit court in the name of the owner. Right? Once we catch them in the lie, we're going to get double back. So that was under, right, and it says estray. You wouldn't know that in there is where all the lost property is under the names of unknown owners and unknown others. In both cases, the county clerk is the trustee of the unknown owner or unknown other. Bankruptcy cases, oh, that's great stuff. Okay, what else we got here? Close that one. Liz Pendants. Okay. Or other actions seeking equitable relief, right? Anytime you're talking about equitable relief, you're talking courts of chancery. Affecting or involving real property shall. Now, if the probate judge is sitting on this commissioner's court, well, I'm going to say the probate judge from the court of chancery in another hat. And while these people get together maybe 3-4 times a month and have a couple hour long meeting with the public, what are they doing the rest of the day, right? What we want to see from this, because Bob in Arizona asked the commissioner's clerk what the commission did, and she said, we keep what records she kept. And she said, we keep the minutes of the hearings and stuff. But she didn't mention all the other stuff. Okay, well that's 6-8 hours a month. What are they doing the rest of the time they're there? Because usually any two of them get together to make a quorum, right? They can sign off on paperwork and push it through. Got to have 2 officers from the board and then the county clerk. But guess what? Whatever they do, it's going to be filed in the office of the recorder in the county, which again is the county clerk, right? There better be something in there. Filing in the office of the recorder in the county. Filing the complaint or petition to cause the action to be given, right? They have to have filed the complaint. Again, a notice of Liz Pendants is a notice. It's not the complaint. Where's the complaint or petition? Complaints are bills of complaints used in chancery, and petitions is another name for a complaint used in chancery. This is all happening in a chancery court or court of chancery. Bankruptcies, right? Recorded in the office of recorder, where conveyances of real estate are recorded in the same manner as deeds. Okay, in the same manner as deeds. Well, the deeds are recorded in a different office. They're recorded in the county recorder's office. This is the office of the recorder, where conveyances of real estate are recorded in the same manner as deeds, but in a different office, called the county clerk, and as recorded in the office of recorder. It shall be the duty of the recorder to file index under the name of the bankrupt. Right? So you want to go to the bankrupt file and see if we're in there. And record each certified copy filed for record in the same manner as deeds. Anyways, you want to find your property. It's in the county through the county clerk's portal. All right, that's done. Covered subpoenas, did that. Okay. Now, this last thing is the tax thing. That the county clerk was so nice to wrote this book about county law, and was published by this company, or these people here, Taxpayers Federation of Illinois. But they also did this one on Practical Guide to Illinois Property Taxes. So that's their address right there, and they have a website. And so the book, the blue book that Roe has, is about county law, and this is about property taxes. And if we go relatively quickly. Got to look at Tax City. Okay, despite the complexity of the system, the basic concepts of property tax are quite simple. This chapter of the Practical Guide to Illinois Real Estate Taxation lays a foundation that will provide taxpayers with an overview of the more thorough discussion about specific aspects of the system in later chapters. The property tax is an ad valorem tax, meaning it's a tax based on the value of the property. The two component activities affect each taxpayer's property tax bill, determining the amount of money, taxes, needed to operate the government and appropriating the burden from those taxes among taxpayers. The system must provide a means to determine how much revenue is to be generated. The process is handled by the local governments and the school district that will use the revenue. The system also must place a value on taxable property. The burden generated of the needed revenue can then be spread among the parcels of the property according to the proportionate value of each parcel. Simplified example would help. Assume there is only one taxing district. Okay, let's not assume. Let's get into one taxing district called the tax city. And it has only one fund, the road fund. Further assume it provides only one service, roads. That's all tax city does. The city of tax has one fund for roads, one requirement of its citizens, one requirement of the residents, one requirement, the roads. The tax city is part of the property tax system that is responsible for determining how much revenue is to be generated. The authorities of tax city draw up a spending plan that would indicate how much money is needed for the roads during the upcoming year. The spending plan is the budget. Assume $1,000 in property taxes is needed. In order to spend the $1,000 for the roads, the city first needs to raise the money from taxpayers within its jurisdiction. From the taxpayers within its jurisdiction. A taxing authority can only get taxes from people within their jurisdiction. What determines your jurisdiction? Your residents. You're the resident of the state, you're under all the taxes. You're a resident of a township, you're under township taxes. To do this, a governing body, a tax city, passes an ordinance making a specific request, so they have to pass an ordinance, right? So the county government or the city council, whoever it is, passed an ordinance, which means they're a court. This formal request is a tax levy that certifies to the county clerk that tax city wants $1,000. Okay, to the county clerk, right? This stuff's going to the county clerk. They're acting as the trustee for this other taxing district. The county clerk now tax city wants $1,000. Doesn't tell the county how much of the $1,000 each taxpayer should pay. The appropriate of the $1,000 burden is the other half of the property tax system. So this is how it's determined. Each taxing district determines their own, and the more taxing districts that you are under, the more tax you're going to pay. The fewer you're under, the less you're going to pay. The appropriate of $1,000 is now the other half. So how are we going to get the money? During the same time period that tax city is preparing its request for the $1,000, an assessed value is placed on all real estate, primarily land and buildings, in tax city. Assessment is an estimation of the property value. Okay, assume there's only 3 parcels of land, 1 for 5, 1 for 3, 1 for 2. Well, now we're going to split, and the total is $10,000. Okay, since the revenue requested was $1,000, it's 10%. All right. So each of them are going to pay 10%. They're going to pay it based on their value of their property. So if you have 50% of the property, you're going to pay, this guy has half the 50% of the property, so he's going to pay half the tax. Yeah, okay, no big deal. That's how easy it could be if you were just in one taxing district. However, you find yourself under many. the property tax system in Illinois generates a huge amount of revenue, more than any other tax levied in the state. Go figure. Property taxes were $16 billion in 2001. It dwarfs the corporate income taxes, which is 9.9. They have no state property tax. The property tax is administered and used entirely by local governments. Okay, Illinois has local taxing districts than has more than any other state. They got 102 counties, 1,400 plus townships, road districts. They have all these different taxing districts. Right? But how many of these are you really part of? It depends on how your property's been registered. If you're a resident of the state, well, then you're under all of them, in my opinion. All the parcels subject to tax action, exactly the same set of taxing bodies, are called tax code. Let me go back here. The taxing districts usually do not share boundaries. So if you say you're in the township and that particular territory, defined territory, it's different than any other taxing district territory. That's all a district is a territorial land. Right? A school district may, for example, include 2 or more municipalities and several townships, which is different than just a township. They don't have the same jurisdictional area. A special district may include only one portion of a municipality. You may become a special district within your municipality if you do it right. We'll have to find out how you become a special district. Defines the taxing district boundaries. They're overlapping areas, so they overlap, but they're not necessarily the same. But all parcels subject to taxation by exactly the same set of taxing bodies is called the tax code area. The average number in Chicago is 7, downstate is 8. Okay? So most people are in an average of 8 different taxing areas. Well, if that's the average, there must be some that are quite a bit higher and some that are quite a bit lower, because 8's the average. So let's look at this map here, right? If you're the resident of Illinois, Illinois, the state of Illinois, then you're responsible for the 100%. But if you're a resident of a city, you would pay 12.7. If you're the resident of a county, you would pay 8.9, 4.2, and a township pays 2.7%. Out of the total, you would only, of the 100% you pay now, your taxes may only be the 2.7, and maybe the county, which is 8.9, so about 11% of the 100% you're paying now. Okay, and this is where this levy stuff comes in. My property tax is too high is probably the most frequently complained about property tax system. But what does it mean? The taxpayer could be complaining that the taxing districts are generating more property tax revenue than they need, or they could be concerned about paying more than their fair share of the overall tax burden. This chapter deals with the first type of complaint. The taxing district budget and levy side of the property tax system has traditionally received the least taxpayer attention. In other words, pay more attention to the budget and levy. Taxpayers must remember local government and school districts receive only property tax dollars they request in their tax levy. We need to look at these levies, and there was something in here to look at. Levies, there it is. We can see what the taxing districts actually asked for. And if you're in that taxing district, what your percentage would have been. The taxing district levy side, the taxpayer must remember local government, school district receive only property tax, and themselves must bear the responsibility for every penny raised. Those assessors have been maligned for the multiplier are often improperly blamed for raising taxes. The taxing district themselves must bear the responsibility for every penny raised. So there shouldn't be any multiplier, right? They get what they asked for in the levy, period, without any multiplier. That's what they're telling you. The multiplier is the bullshit. All taxing districts form budgets or spending plan prior to levy process. Budgeting local government often shaped by a small group of elected officials who are courted by various interest groups. Go figure. All taxpayers have a right and obligation to express their view in the selection of the type and amount of services to be provided by government unit. Since the property tax is local tax controlled by local government, an individual taxpayer's opinion and actions can have an important impact. Notifications of hearings on budgets and other the local unit of government must be published in the local newspaper. The levy is the formal request, the way it's supposed to be done by local government and school district for a certain amount of revenue to be generated by the property tax. The formal request is sent to the county clerk, and so this just goes on and on. But the idea is we need to change the taxing district we're in. We don't want to be a resident of the state, because that makes you responsible for 100%. You're just a resident of where you're a resident of, and I'm going to say I'm a resident of the township. So okay, listen, that's probably enough of this for today. But the call with Roe is really interesting. What's going on? Everything is at the county clerk's office. They got jurisdiction over all sorts of things, such as lawsuits, liens. This is the suit pending, the lawsuit. All kinds of certifications, designation of successors, contracts, agreements, leases, estray, and under estray is unknown owners and unknown others, who the county clerk is the trustee of, and I think they're talking about our property. So I hope a few more of you can get up and ask some questions at the county building and just tell them you want to see the records. That's why you're there. It's in the law. I might be able to show you that real quick. I don't know how much time I got left here. And they made it pretty. There we go. Penalty. If any recorder shall willfully fail to perform any duty imposed upon him by this division, he shall be guilty of malfeasance in office, and shall be punished accordingly, and shall be liable to the party injured for all damages occasioned thereby. They had better not mess around with this stuff. That's pretty powerful. And someplace in here, I shouldn't have to find it, because it just says that you can, all this stuff is public record. It has to be available to the public. Identification of person preparing instrument affecting title of real property, right? We want to affect the title of real property and put it in our name, so this may be important. Looks like you needed to have a revenue stamp. If a home rule municipality, you'd have to have a revenue stamp on your documents to have them recorded. Just wanted to see quarters. Quarters are something that a military officer has at the courthouse. So now, where is the courthouse of the county commissioners, right? They have their own court someplace, and that's where they're supposed to have their quarters at. So we'll have to see how that works out. Yeah, this was provided that said recorder is called in active duty in the service of the United States, his office shall be not to be deemed to be vacant during the time he is in active military service. He's in another building with a frickin' war flag on it. He's not in his office. He's sitting in another office, called away in active duty. But during the time he is in such active duty service in the United States, a deputy recorder shall be the recorder. The deputy recorder shall be the recorder. So again, the recorder, the county clerk may not even be the county clerk. It's the deputy, the chief deputy, as it should be. That's all good stuff. In here, some places though, it said that all this stuff is public record. I had to take my word on it. And I'm done with this one, but this is what we're working on this week, is getting in here, finding the lost property, matching up the unknown owner with us, identifying ourselves. Um, in fact, Bob in Arizona, um, he put in a précipit to claim his birthright. And if you Google Arizona statutes birthright, it only comes up in two. I don't remember their numbers off the top of my head. 12 dash something or other, I think. Talks about establishing your identity, claiming your birthright, and correcting the parentage. All three things that have something to do with us. And so, since it was a rule in there, he put in a précipit. By rule, he was trying to do this. But we may have put it in the wrong court, because we put it into their superior court, uppercase. And I think he needs to take it to this commissioner's court, because that is where that probate judge is sitting. And it was a probate judge in Arizona that said you need to open a case when somebody said they were trying to claim the birthright. Oh, this is huge stuff. Good, 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 good. Okay, I'm out of here. Have a great night.